for Tyler. We'll start once he gets here.
How about now? Did I fix it? Oh, you can hear me now. Okay, that's helpful. Sorry, apparently I'm super new to Zoom.
You could turn your volume up a little bit though, Tyler. You're pretty, or I guess I could turn mine up.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
There we go. I got it. I
I
got
can
it.
talk a little closer to the
No.
magic
It's fine.
box.
I just turned you up on mine. That's
All
fine.
right.
Okay, Tyler, we have everyone besides Eric, so we can get going.
All right. Let's get going. Thanks. Sorry, I'm a little late, everybody. I'll call to order our oops. Crud. Sorry, I lost my agenda real quick. I won't call to order. Please pardon me while I get the, one moment, please. All right, I'll go ahead and call to order our special session of the Lake Forest Parks and Rec Board meeting for January 31. Did you all get a chance to get the agenda? All right, so I think we should start with approving that agenda to kind of talk through. Do not have it. Restarting something, sorry. Would anyone like to motion that we approve it?
I actually had a question about the agenda,
Please.
and that it includes talking about the PRAB work plan. And I'm not sure I have time for that this evening. So I was wondering if we could make a motion to not talk about the PRAB at this sort of special meeting, but save that for a regular one, or I can leave early. That's sort of where I'm at.
Oh, is it? We are scheduled for 1 hour. Is that right?
Yeah, if we get there, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe we.
that's fine. I think I thought we were left the November meeting pretty well and cohese on the plan, but if we need to save it for the next meeting, we can.
I'm happy to do it this meeting as long as we're done by the hour. That's all.
Yeah. That seems fair. I also have a timeline, so I appreciate that. With that caveat, did the rest of the agenda look okay? I think the PRAB is at the end, right? Yeah, that's at the work plan is at the end. Any other thoughts or comments on it? Okay, to move forward, as always, we need a motion to approve it and then a second, and then we can take a little vote and get to it.
I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Amy. A second. Great. All in favor of approving the agenda? Looks like a show of all the hands of the board members. So it's approved. Thank you very much. Do we have the January meeting minutes? I think we're here, so we might as well look at those. Thank you for managing those for us, Corey. Did anyone have any thoughts or comments or additions or changes to those? Or shall we approve them?
I move to approve.
Second.
Great. I heard one and a second
Alice, that's good.
in there somewhere. All in favor of the minutes as written and sent out?
Yeah.
Indicate approval. That's Richie. I didn't see what your vote was on that one. Rich, sorry, Richie, I didn't see your vote on that one. Was that okay? Thank you. I think that was a yay from everyone then. Thank you, everyone. And you'll notice at the back of that was a draft for the 2024 work plan was at the end of that packet at the end. I guess now we're on to the meat of this discussion, which was the content of that meeting last week, which was a lot of content. I really thought it was an interesting meeting, and I learned a lot. Thought the consultants have put together a really thoughtful presentation. I think I heard some questions about just what our role is in this and how we get that input to them, whether it's about our own personal take, about whether we connect with others in the community and how we do that, and then what our thoughts are about actually coordinating our input and how to do that. Any other ideas for what we need to discuss, or anything?
I was wondering if the ongoing cost of the park will also be needed to be a point of discussion and information that should be presented to the community, the new park will require how much
Well, yeah.
city budget, how much should be allocated from the city budget to maintain the park after it opens. I think that's a really important information that has to be that has to be part of any discussion moving forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that will be part of this discussion being heard once we have plans in place, but that's, I don't know if that's the board's role in this. I think it's council and staff that will needing to be looked at really what the budget will be.
Yeah, I think, Rich, your point is right. I think that it's an aspect of this decision. It sounds to me like I'm no expert on this, but it sounds like the variations in the maintenance cost between the different options issued, or that we're kind of looking through, might not be all that much in terms of maintenance. So from what I've seen, it doesn't look like we're being asked to evaluate that part of it. But I think that, I mean, it's a real aspect of any of this park and how we fund it, right? I'm sure Councilmember Bodie has some experience with that. How we raise those funds. But I don't think we have any more information specifically on what that is, what the maintenance costs are. Did anyone else hear any details on that in the prior meeting?
Tonight, we just really need to make sure that you guys are okay with the concepts that are presented out there to go to the open house on the 21st. And then once we get public input, then we'll also review everything that's come in, and you guys will kind of make your final recommendation to council. So that's sort of what this is, where we're at right now for tonight.
Right. Thanks, Corey.
Yeah.
Alice?
I was just going to kick it off then by saying they didn't present anything that I feel uncomfortable having presented to the public. I think everything they presented is thoughtful, reasonable, and interesting. I have my own personal preferences, but everything that's on the table seems like a reasonable thing to be on the table. So I'd be curious to know if anybody on this board feels differently.
Was it, I'll throw out a question. Was it, I have my own answer to it, but I'll put it out to you. Did they present enough variability of the options, right? Any thoughts on that?
Well, Tyler, what do you mean? You mean, did they give us enough alternatives in terms?
Yeah, maybe that's it. Things that are different
this,
enough
or
to
you
compare.
can do that, you can do this.
Yeah.
This will cost more. This will cost less. Yeah, I thought they did they really just overwhelmed us with information and possibilities and said, you know, it's really up to you guys what you want, and let us know and we'll make it happen, or at least we'll turn it into a plan. So I guess we should, you know, certainly talk about, you know, did anybody have thoughts about some of the specifics that they presented, the alternatives and the specifics that they liked or they disliked? Yeah, Josh, go.
Well, I guess just to a little bit the question that Tyler was asking, I in thinking about the main building, I'm wondering that's the part where I feel like
Me too.
they may have gone down one path a little bit farther than, and I that's partly just I don't know that we have discussed. I think it's been sort of, there are a lot of possibilities for that building of how it would be used. And it seems like most of their designs were some variant on a rental space. And maybe I misunderstood, maybe that's, if that wasn't other people's impression, then that may be my recollection that was wrong, in which case I'm happy to be corrected. but that was sort of my impression, that it was mostly different versions of a rental space to different degrees of renovation and configurations of it. And I don't know that that's, I think that was probably the presumption that somehow that would be a component of it. But is there anything else that we want to see for that space?
Well,
Or want to think about for that space?
they talked about using office space, and I was wondering, I didn't quite understand. Does the city, and this is really for Lori and Corey, do you require more office space than is currently available to the staff of LFP?
So yes, we're squeezed into our space right now, but I think in terms of office space, part of what I was thinking of is you might have like a security person sitting there sometime, you know, because this police department is also squeezed for space. I don't think we've really discussed exactly what that would be and whether it would be in use all the time or temporarily, but yes, the city staff is squeezed for space right now. And it's kind of unusual because it's not like we've expanded the staff in any great way. It's just you know, when the functional space is more challenged. It was a very small design of City Hall without much room for growth. And Corey, perhaps you have more to say on that. But yes, it would be helpful if only for occasionally having a security person there, you know, perhaps only in the summer, perhaps during peak usage areas. So it could, you know, that person would be doing other work and would be available. So that's what I have been thinking, but I think the council and the city have not really discussed how we would use that, just that having an office space there would be a convenience.
And that was discussed for building 6, right? If that was
Correct.
retained.
That's what it is. Not the main building. The main building would be you know, space that would be available to the community. And of course, the deck would be available to the community at all times. The inside of the building would be available as a rental.
And there was also talk of possibly, and this is, you know, a discussion that can be deferred, but of possibly making the deck part of that rental as well. Which
Correct.
you can imagine, you know, in a wedding, you might have the ceremony inside and then have tables set up outside to have a reception. And
yes, I agree. I was only saying the deck wouldn't be sealed off.
Right. But it might be possible to close it off.
But you could close it off for a rental, yes.
But like I was remembering also early on in the discussions, I feel like there was talk of possibly having a community museum or like a historical displays of some sort in that main building. And that may have been before it was definitive that it wasn't worth keeping the second floor. And it may just not be, given that decision, which I think they were right about, it makes sense. It may not be worth thinking about some of the other options that had been considered for other ways of splitting up the main building space.
There could still be historical signage outside and inside the building. I think that is more like what color is the paint, as opposed to this building blocks of the design. So my hope at least is that we're still going to have some of that at some point down the road.
Yeah, and that's the only sense in which I mean, like, do we need to talk about other room configurations to be able to serve some other need that might be imagined for that building? I don't have any particular thing in mind. I just
Can somebody
wanted to
review,
flush that out.
can somebody review what building 6 is designated for other than office space? I don't have that in my notes, and I'm just, could somebody tell me?
Just office space.
Yeah,
Like it could potentially be like a meeting room, like the details of the space have not been dove into, so that eventually could be a discussion later on, depending on where the keeping or getting rid of cabin 6.
Yeah, that's a good point, Corey. It could be a small meeting also.
Can I get people's thoughts on building 6? What you feel in terms of, is it necessary to take up a big spot that could be more open space rather than a building? Do you feel we need building 6? Could we potentially use the bigger building and could they possibly create whatever the designation for building 6 is in the big building? I am kind of would like to get rid of that building. From the moment I went to the site the very first time, I was like, it's got to go. but I'd be really like to hear what other people think about that.
Any other thoughts on that?
I
My take is I'm not set one way or the other on it. If it's useful space, that could be a pretty cool thing to have there, but not.
I do think this might have to be more of a council discussion with administration of space, and do we want more office space?
Right.
So.
And is that the only option for space for staff, for city staff to be at the new park? I mean, are there alternative spaces somewhere else where you can go?
Yeah, I think that is the only space. There might be like, I think in one of the options there might be a small like or potential office in one of those designs, but I think that cabin's would need to be.
Yeah, and the medium option, there's a room out behind the kitchen area, but
I'm hearing a lot of overlap between the question of what's the purpose for the big one and what's the purpose for 6, and like how entrenched are those uses. And so I feel like I'm quite attached to building number 6 because I'm attached to having less parking. So when I was like, if we keep having 6 and we have less parking, that's what I want. But I'm hearing you say, Amy, maybe it's open space, maybe it's something different. So I'm like reconsidering. But I'm hearing Josh's question as what's going on in the big building. And I've always imagined that as multi-use space for different kinds of community groups to be able to come and have a scout meeting, have a PTA meeting. And yes, there's also private rentals, but there would have to be some sort of system for like public use and then private rentals. I'm imagining the Parks Board being able to meet at the park, right? And so I think the question for me is like, how do these spaces get scheduled, and how public facing is the big space? So how much does that leave that the city is relying on needing the space in building 6, or is the city using the large space for its meetings and its Parks Board and its community outreach? So yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think
yeah, and do we want the capability of having of dividing it up into smaller rooms for multiple different events, or if there was a camp and we wanted to, which was just a topic that had been floated for that building. Sometimes camps need to break up into smaller groups, things like that. I just, is there anything at the design level that we want to have as an option for that space? And then, I hear what you're saying, Corey, in terms of building 6, that it may ultimately be a council decision for reasons other than the park, but I don't think that should stop us necessarily from making a recommendation in terms of what we think the best vision of the park is. And yeah, I mean, with any of the recommendations that we make, the council will make their call, and I think that's how it's supposed to work.
Correct.
Oh, you're on.
I completely agree. And think that you should tell us what you think about building 6 and the main building.
Yeah,
And I think to maybe bring it back to one of Corey's points earlier, we'll have that opportunity, right? Well, there's more time to talk about our own recommendation and to think about what that looks like. In particular, right now, I think one of the main reasons we wanted this meeting in advance of the open house, if that's the community meeting, I think there's a better word for it,
Yeah.
is to make sure that the options presented are in line with what we kind of want to hear about from the community, right? That it represents the range of potential options for the park design, and that it gives the people of Lake Forest Park something to think about, like some different options to consider, and to really think about how they want to use that park and what it's the goals of the park, what it's going to be like to be there, and how it meets the needs of the residents.
One thing that I don't see in
Yeah.
the design that it may not be necessary, it may be easy enough to put it in or not, that it can come later in the process, but maybe something to add before we get to the open meeting is changing rooms and a shower or foot wash, like sand wash stations. You know, I think a simple little foot wash near the dock or something probably
Yeah.
doesn't need to be designed at this stage. But if, I could see that being another option for like where building 6 is, or in the area outside where the bathrooms will be, where the current garage is. And maybe that's just easy enough stuff to put in that it's not worth adding as part of the design, but
That is.
Corey, you're cutting in and out a lot. I'm really having trouble hearing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all are. No,
I didn't catch that. That's okay. But if you can, I don't know, maybe you want to rejoin. Is that going to help? I don't know. My sense is that the shower and the foot wash were considered with the shelter closer to the dock and the beach area, but I don't remember seeing it explicitly on the design. I thought I heard them talk about it, but I can't point to a spot on the map where it was. I feel like Corey's trying to talk again, but it was not working.
No.
I mean, it was working. I'm sure you can talk just fine. We cannot hear you though. Any other thoughts on sort of the range of the designs and what I guess this is our chance to kind of like review what goes to that public presentation, right? And the collection of people's input and how they kind of play with the different puzzle pieces, which I thought was kind of a cool like way to think about the variables, and to kind of change that. I'm not sure they're going to use that exact same method, but I thought it was a nice way to think about the different options, how they fit together. I guess that's the idea. Any thoughts on that, or suggestions or questions that we want to send back to the design team?
you guys remember what the medium option, the medium option versus the large option versus the small, medium, large?
For the house?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
big house. I mean, I'm looking at
I think one of the main distinguishing parts was where the kitchen ends up, and
Oh,
whether
yeah.
it's integrated into the room kind of as it is now, or whether it's really kind of made into its own little room. And I feel like another one was definitely between the small and the large was just the nature of the structure and how open it could be on the inside.
They were going to add windows, I think, also.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the medium, as I recall, also had a bigger roof out the door on the street side. So it would cover more area, and that was going to be, it turns out, pretty expensive. And am I right that he said that it was roughly the same amount, or maybe even more than the large option. Is that what I remember hearing? At least in their ballpark figuring. That's what I remember. And I think the large option had the room, the area behind the fireplace, as I think about it, dedicated to a kitchen and I think a storage area.
And a
And the
restroom, yeah.
restrooms,
Oh, it was a restroom in there?
yes, yeah.
I was
Large
wondering if
option
they-
has four stalls, and the small one had only two.
Too.
Oh, in the adjacent, in the garage building, right? Yeah. I did have a question for the architect about storage. Like, it's great to have a big room, but you're going to need to have tables and chairs, things like that. So where do those things go?
Mhm.
I don't
That's
know.
a really good point. Especially if it's, yeah. That's really true. Because are people going to bring in their own
No.
tables and chairs when they rent? It would be nice if they didn't have to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
there are places where you do have to do that.
I would think.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point, Tyler. It's like, where is the storage area?
I think that's in any of the designs. It wasn't really clear.
Yeah, that's probably worth asking them, and just,
yeah,
they probably thought about it. And I don't know if there's basement space that would be usable for storage. I don't recall.
They didn't take us down there.
And I certainly don't see stairs, but there may be
Right.
some exterior access to a basement. Or it might be that you could put storage off the side of what would be the bathrooms or something.
Yeah, that might be nice.
Because the current storage shed on the property is what they're turning into the picnic area, right?
Right. And I don't think we would want that kind of storage so far away from the house anyway,
No.
right? Like, you just want to roll them out.
But if you have a nice deck that has a good handicap accessible ramp, then you would be able to roll carts
Good point.
with chairs and other things from elsewhere nearby, even from building 6.
Yeah. And sort of related to that, I think I use the term event. I think I'd like to use the term event space for that, because I think it's a gathering space. Feels like, I think we've talked about the term rental space also. I feel that implies to me like we're going to charge for it every time. So I think we could. I don't think we're making that decision right now, are we?
Yeah.
I think it's more like it's just a place to meet of some sort. Maybe we rent it. That could be interesting. But it's at least like reservable and usable in various ways.
I think the only issue is making decisions. If there are uses that need to be architecturally designed in, we need to make thoughts about that soon. But otherwise, we can leave that for later.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel comfortable with it being an open space, event space, knowing that there are so many innovative ways that you can divide up a space if you need to. There's like rolling room dividers, there's, all kinds of cool stuff. But a larger space allows for more flexibility of the kinds of groups that can use it and the kinds of events that we could host. So I don't really feel like we need to have an option that shows a more partitioned space. Because I think it would limit more than it would give us more. Yeah, it would limit the kinds of things we could do there more than it would enable.
Yeah, easier to make the big space smaller. Can't really do the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good to me too. Like it was, as I was looking at it, I'll stop. That's it. Steve, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, just curiosity. I was not there last week, so forgive me for like coming in and asking, what happened in the first half of the movie. But was there any, small, medium, large? We think about these things. We think about funding. Was there any discussion of what the most likely way to get pieces of this funded based on kind of size of prize? Obviously, we would all like to do everything we can, but what is is there a best path towards the not a minimum value project, but like a best to ensure that we can get this funded and moving?
I'll take a crack at that real quick. Anybody else feel free. I mean, generally, no. That's kind of my initial thought. Like they didn't come into this saying, uh, think about your funding source and how you want to do this. At this stage, my take was they're asking us to think of, they were given direction to work out a few options in a particular range of budget. And they gave us a range, kind of at the low end of that, the range they were given, the middle, and then the high, and a little bit above the high. And it's at this point, it's about like, what do we want in the park? Like, if money's not no object, but kind of money aside, like, what are the features of the park that we really want? And then how would we prioritize those? Then we can take that to council and see how they want to, what they can do in terms of what, if they agree, and what we can fund in that. And if I think our prioritization would help in helping them think of, well, we can get this much, but not all of it. So how do we, what do we take out? Do we take out the hot tub? There's no hot tub, by the way. But what do we take off the list? And do we really focus on making the house really cool so we can use that in the winter months? Or do we really want to make the dock really cool? Because that would be excellent. Like, how would we think about trading those things off? But we did not get into, we talked a little bit about sources, and some of the timing about this is to get ready for some grant cycles to get some funding. So there's an aspect of it, but we didn't get into the details, I didn't think.
And for the building, there's the option, in particular, the building, I think they called out as something that in theory could be postponed. Just leave the building secured and do the landscaping work, to do the dock. It's going to be easier to do that before you do the landscaping, because otherwise you have to bring a barge in and it becomes more expensive to do the lakeside work. But the building renovation could be postponed until more funding was available. But yeah, I don't think that those options were geared towards, oh, it'll be possible to get a grant for this, but not for that. It was just, what do we like?
One thing I was really impressed by with the presentation is they were working within the parameters of a sort of imagined budget, and they were also working within the parameters of really intense permitting and restrictions based on the land. And so the options that they're giving us are sort of like, well, here's basically the two ways that it could be. So I think I appreciate it.
And the other thing that they said, Steve, that I think is important to evaluate all of this is their sense from the charrette and from other community and the surveys and other things was that there was pretty much a community vision. So it wasn't like they were offering option A and option B. It was just within what the community seems with one voice to have asked for, here are different ways of doing it. And so that's I think the important thing here is, like, did they miss some important use case that just didn't come up in the public meetings, or that they didn't see in the public meetings, that we want to be sure at least is on the table?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good summary, Josh. And on that last point, does it seem like there's anything that they missed in this collection of options? I kind of didn't think so. I thought it was pretty good. It hit a lot of the things that I heard us talk about, that I heard at the community meeting. Not every little thing, but I thought the general gist, the way it uses the preserve and how it actually kind of changes that to be more preservey, but still incorporated into the park in a nice way. And some nice family spaces, some kid spaces, some water access, some cool dock options to think about. One of the driving features of this is access to the water, to put the lake in Lake Forest Park, and thought it did a really nice job of that. And even the idea of taking out the two docks that we currently have, although one of them doesn't even count as a dock anymore if you can't go on it, and replacing it with one in a better position, less intrusive on the preserve, and probably better suited for the uses we have in mind, with some variables, but think about those variables and what those costs are.
Yeah, I thought they were very thoughtful about looking at how people use Pine Creek Park and saying people like to have a place to just sit and chill. And right now there's one place that they can sit and chill. What if we add 3 or 4? So that it's more usable the way that people are using that space. I thought that they did well there.
I haven't thought the designs. Oh,
sorry.
I'll just chime real quickly. I thought the design of the dock was really interesting that way. It was almost like a multi-use dock, right? Half was kind of about sitting and looking at the preserve. The other half was about how to get in the water, kind of separated by whether it has a railing or not, to kind of drive that behavior. That was cool.
That is the one thing that struck me is that I was like, oh, I don't think that's actually going to work in real life. And I tried to ask that question at the end about the depth for jumping off. That I was like, the side is not going to be your swimming dock. The end is going to have to be the swimming dock, the depth of water. So I don't know if that needs to be in the design, but I was like, I don't think that that's how people would end up using the dock functionally. Kids would use it to climb in and out, but it wouldn't be a big diving dock. Yeah.
Do we want to
talk?
I'm sorry, Tyler.
Nope, go ahead.
I just was going to say, I think we should take up Alice's thoughts on parking and this is where it's going to get dicey, I think, in terms of the cars situation. I was thinking through as I was listening to them, and it got kind of discombobulated for me in terms of, that means a lot of cars, few cars, where are the cars going? I mean, and then there was this whole thing of, well, they're going to have to deal with Sound Transit and get the access from across the street over to the park. I was like, oh boy, here we go. This is not sounding very positive to me. So anyway, I just have a couple thoughts about, how many cars, what are your thoughts on the number of cars at the park, people having to come over from the parking lot at City Hall? I just want to know people's thoughts. I don't have tons of thoughts about it, but I'd like to know what your thoughts are, certainly.
Can I give a quick maybe over for Steve? Like, one of the options had basically 4 spots, right? Maybe some like temporary, like turnaround, like unload your kayak kind of thing, but it was all ADA sites. And then on the other extreme, which wasn't that extreme, it took more spots for parking. I don't think they wanted us to rely on the number of them, but was it about 10? I don't even know. Was it maybe 10?
I think it says 9 standard and 3 ADA.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So those are basically the range.
And with both of them, there was room for a fire truck to turn around or a school bus.
Can I add just a few context points? So part of the Sound Transit component was that if we want to improve the walkway across Bothell Way and widen some of the places where you cross right now, it would have to be coordinated with the Sound Transit work and with WashDOT, right? So I don't think it's an impediment. It's just it's like permitting. It's one of the hoops and issues, and so that might be staged differently in terms of moment in time, compared with getting the grant to start doing the environmental work, for example. So that I think is one aspect of Amy's question. The other one is the city is still studying a connector so that you would go over or under Bothell Way right at that intersection. And honestly, that's something that would have to get state or federal funding. It would be a big project. And it might be 10 years before something like that happens, but that's also something that is percolating along. A lot of these larger funding requests, they take a while to be around. Right now, we're doing, I think, 10% design work for 2 alternatives, an over and an under. So we'll see what that looks like. The city council just again, this is all grant funding, but we just authorized that work to proceed at our last meeting. So I think that if people don't park, if we only have the ADU spaces at the park, as well as a loading, unloading, and turnaround space, then people would have to park over at City Hall. So that's just the nature of it. The reason why the consultants, I think, weren't so bothered by all of that, and Corey can chime in on this, is that at least a good number of people were talking about the fact that they would you know, that parking was not the biggest issue for them. So anyway, I think that it remains unsettled in the sense that we don't really know how much parking demand there'll be, but our consultants have some sense of that from other parks. Certainly the amount of parking at Log Boom Park is pretty substantial. So compared to what we're talking about here. So.
Yeah.
And I
and
think
it
there was
also-
also a constraint from, I think this was a city like fire code issue, but of how much parking there was relative to the capacity, the fire capacity for the main building.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Good point.
But I mean, that's it, to the degree that that's city code, that is presumably adjustable if we get to that point.
And if there are 9 parking spots, build cabin 6 is demolished.
Right.
That's so you're exchanging the building for parking, basically. I just am envisioning families coming to the park. Okay, so a mom brings, and we have moms here with younger kids, certainly. So you come to the park, you want to go swimming, you got all your stuff, you got your cooler. How is that going to work? So if there are no parking spots, then they drop their stuff off and hope nobody takes it. I mean, we do have bad people who live in Lake Forest Park. I mean,
No,
no, we don't.
shame on you for saying that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm wearing my Lake Forest Park school. This is like 30 years old. I love it. But I'm just trying to envision, you know, how that's going to work. How are we going to get people to drop their stuff off, right? Go back and park and then come back over with the kids, right? So yeah, Alice, go. I can't envision this. I'm like,
Yeah.
where are they going to put how are they going to get their stuff from A to B? And their
Right.
kids?
So I've been thinking about this a lot because I've heard so much anxiety about parking, but I really feel like it is our sort of ethical obligation to stop incentivizing car culture, and that we can't build enough parking for this park. Like there's 9 spaces is a drop in the bucket of what summer's going to be. So taking that land and making it cement rather than making it green or making it office space or something, to me feels like a move in the wrong direction. And so I guess to answer your question, I'm someone who walks to the beach and I have a wagon and I load it up and I put my kid in the wagon, I put my cooler in the wagon, and it's kind of burdensome, and on a hot day it's awful. But like I can do it and then I'm not driving and that feels good. And so what I'm hoping is that we can kind of almost brand the park in that way, that it's a green destination. And like we had talked about having bike racks and having all kinds of ways for people to come in. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, and make sure it's accessible, right? Like my dad is wheelchair bound, and so I'm really aware that, you know, different people have different needs. So making sure that for folks who need ADA access and for people who are planning events there, that there's spaces for them to do what they need to do. But for just your average person who's coming to the beach, I'm really hoping that we can signal that, yeah, you just don't park at the beach. Like you got to plan that extra step to get your stuff across the street. Or you bike there with your Burley, right?
Yeah, it's right off Burke Gilman Trail. It's reasonable to make it
Right.
Yeah, I think
active
I would
transit.
I'd second that notion. And we all think about parking for just use of that, you know, of that space. but it's also on the Burke Gilman that people might just park there just because it's convenient to walk the Burke Gilman as well. So I think like there will never be enough parking to support the uses that could exist around that area. So I would second that. And then the other piece is, I don't have it in front of me, but it didn't seem like when we stack ranked community and what was important to them, like it was access to the water is number one.
I was looking at the various maps and trying to think of how to use the parking spaces and everything. And it seemed to me like having and this is a long process, so just listen to it. Having the 9 spaces or whatever it would actually suffice for most days of the year. Definitely would suffice today, right? Like how many people would have gone to use that park? But it also means that people will get used to going to that park and finding parking. And so every day you'll have cars going through there. When it's full, when it's not full, they'll always be going through that parking lot looking for parking. Sometimes it'll be there, but it'll be a constant flow of cars, even on the busy days, and those kind of busy days, they'll be driving through there and looking and checking and then going across the street. So actually, I even though I think it would cover it for a lot of the time, I think it would kind of cause a mess. And I think it might be easier to just have no parking. I mean, clearly the ADA parking and the gear drop off, things like that, that's all good. But if people just know that that's not a park that you normally go and park in, you have to go park in the city hall lot. I think that might just be easier to wrap your head around and make some good habits about. Otherwise, I think the neighbors might get a little annoyed with that. That's a lot of cars going through that, and they already have a lot of that light for the Civic Club. So I think
the only constraint that the consultants were talking about, that if in the scenario that someone say rents the large building for a wedding venue, that the parking spots could go along with that rental. They could be closed for the most part, but then the parking spots go along with the rental, and then the bride and key and the officiant have a place to park. But then it's sitting empty for most of the time, and rather than having the park be for people to actually use for a park. So I don't know that I don't think that that's a compelling argument, but it's a use case that we aren't talking about. So I wanted to be sure that we
I think that was a good point.
But I think at the end of the day, I agree with everyone that it's going to attract cars down the road when we know that there are going to be pedestrians either way on busy days, and we want to have less car traffic. The neighbors want less car traffic. And the neighbors probably don't want parking spaces there 99% of the time either. And we want it to be a park. We want it to be green. We don't want it to be asphalt. So I think all of those are, we don't have to we can see what people say at the community meeting, but it sounds like pretty strong consensus.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same. I appreciate that, Alice. Thank you. Thanks, Josh.
I like the idea of highlighting that at the community meeting, right? Like, how is this parking going to work for you? What if we had more parking or less? We're not going to get a lot more, but how would you feel about that? How would you use it? I think it'd be good to get specific thoughts with those 2 or 3, I guess, like visions in mind. It'd be really interesting.
Tyler, I'm fascinated by your behavioral thoughts, though, about this idea of
Thanks.
having thoughts that are open, and so that Norm's driving in. And I hadn't thought of that. That's really interesting. And I'm wondering if there's a way to sort of cue that kind of thinking as an option, where it's like, if there were spots, what would you do? Like, would you drive there first and then drive to City Hall?
Absolutely, I would.
Right? And so, yeah, it's really interesting.
So we'll package that thought up for the consultants to maybe
Lori, do we have any sense of how much community funding is going to be ultimately required? Because remember, we talked about funding strategies and community support. And is there any idea how that's going to work?
No, we're actually having a council retreat at the end of March to talk about financial resiliency, because going forward, there are some new funding options that may come from the state legislature, and also, you know, maintenance of parks right now is, and the funding for that out of the general fund is still, you know, always, there's always pressure on that budget. So I think that the hope is that we could get almost all grant money to do the actual implementation of the design, but then we would have to come up with that funding strategy for ongoing operation and maintenance, and also, you know, asset management, replacement of things as they wear out, that kind of thing. But I am enthusiastic about the idea of having a better process and procedure for the city to accept contributions, to get money from the community or from other organizations. And so that is actually something that, you know, I know has been on Tyler's list. I've raised it with the council as a broader issue, not just related to parks. We need to have a program like that, so that it's really clear what the procedure is. How does the city say yes? How does the city say no? So that is definitely a topic I'm bringing up for the retreat for us to work on in the year ahead. But I'm reminded of your pickleball experience. So I do think there are opportunities, whether it's for benches or the walkway or, you know, other structures, for us to get some of those amenities that we want that maybe go beyond the mere basics, and that make it a nicer park. So that's what the thinking is. We don't have a good program like that right now, but I do think that by the time the park is designed or built, let's say, in its basics, we'll have that program in place. So, and I'd like the Parks Board, once you're done with the master plan here, to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think when people own it, they love it and they'll take care of it and they'll go to it. And that's why getting them on board and getting them to contribute and that kind of, I love that. Remember, we talked about maybe buy a brick because we're going to use the bricks. I thought the architect had a great idea. I love that. Can't hear you, Laura. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe the Cascade Bicycle Club wants to buy the bike rack, you know, that
kind of thing.
Nice.
Who wants to buy a kayak rack?
Right. Who wants to buy the kayak rack? Who wants to put their name on a log on that cool structure? Yeah, I just think there's all kinds of ways that people, and certainly, you know, with the preserve, I mean, people would, I'm sure, want to contribute, even if we had little plaques along the top of the railing of the, you know, have a little tiny plaque with your name on it. I was thinking of all kinds. I think that's really a fun part of this whole project. I wouldn't mind if someone donated the whole dock. Yeah, really. Hello.
I don't think that's in the cards.
Yeah,
but
They put a plaque on it.
It's like $50,000 for that dock. I don't think so.
It's almost like a reversed auction,
Right.
You know, kind of, well, or maybe it is an auction, you know, who wants to buy a bench?
Yeah.
Who wants to buy a railing plaque?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Should
I
we
don't
have
really
it?
know all the answers, but I do think that will be part of the solution.
Good.
I see we are at 6 o'clock. I think we set that as our timeline because I think a few of us have other stuff to do tonight. My read or my hearing of this discussion was, I thought really good. And my take was that we have a little bit of input for the consultants to take about, maybe think about parking, maybe think about use of the building, and get some of that information from the community meeting. But in general, I heard our feedback from them about the options presented and the spectrum of the opportunities that they represent was pretty good. And that I didn't hear a lot of like suggestions for big changes, maybe some clarifications or focusing on a few of the issues.
And storage, I think, was the other thing we talked about.
What was that?
Identifying where storage would be.
Yeah, that's good. So those kind of things, we can get that. Corey, we can work on, sorry, I got a bug. Packaging that up for the consultants to factor into their design presentation for the community meeting.
Yeah, I'll take these notes. I think some of these are for later discussion and not
Yeah.
at the community meeting. All stuff to start thinking about for next phases. So
yeah,
yeah.
Great. We can hear you better this time. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Well, as it is 6 o'clock, and we're going toward wrapping up. If you haven't noticed, anything else that anybody wants to add in at this point? We did not get to the work plan, really.
No, I'll be in with very busy. I have to reschedule a little bit, but I'll be in touch very soon with all that.
All right.
I have a question that it doesn't have to be for the whole group. It may be something that Corey, you may just forward this to the consultants. They may have a suggestion. I was trying to think about taking that map actually to the PTA meeting and showing it to people. And if we just had a half hour to run through it with a group of a dozen people, I was having trouble actually imagining being able to describe all of the options in ways that people could intelligently flip between them, which I'm sure they've thought about how they're going to do that at the community event. I mean, I'd like to be able to do that and to have multiple people be able to run through the options. But I just was having a hard time imagining it. And so if anyone here has suggestions, or if that's something that the consultants can offer advice on how to do sort of quick run through and quick feedback on the options available, that would be fantastic. Because I burned out on it.
It's a lot of content.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And the details matter.
That seems like the point, right? Like, that's what we're trying to decide between. Yeah, no, it's a really good point.
Line options. Hear me again?
Oh, we
Now
heard
I
the
can.
last word.
Missed the
Go ahead.
first part.
Online, an online open house.
Right.
So-
So there's an option for an online open house of some sort.
Yeah,
So that's going to be part of this.
Yes.
Great. I'll translate for you, Corey.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
We're doing our best here. That's a good point. As I remember them, I think we all talked about it, or Alice made the good point, because it affects me too, that's midwinter break for the schools. So I'm out of town that week also. I can call in, but I cannot actually be there in person. So if there is some sort of an online, I don't know, presentation or puzzle piece moving exercise or voting some sort, that would be really interesting to learn more about. And then maybe Josh, that connects with, if they have some of that description there, that might be the content that we could use at the other interactions with community groups.
Yeah, and I had been thinking about trying to schedule something rather than doing it during a PTA meeting, maybe just trying to schedule something in the school, even on a weekend or another time.
Yeah.
And if that's happening, then it doesn't have to be just for LFP PTA either.
Mm-hmm.
We could have that be just a supplementary open meeting that we invite people to who are not available. Just add it to the outreach in general. And so if other folks are interested in that, I'm happy to, maybe we have a smaller than OPMA group that can talk about how to plan that and put it together if anyone's interested.
When do you think that would be? If we're trying to get this,
The community
in
meeting is
February
the
sometime, I suppose?
21st? Yeah, the 21st.
Okay.
So it could be even just either the week of the 10th and 11th, maybe, or the following weekend, 17th, 18th. Could work.
Okay.
I don't know. I hadn't thought that far ahead. It occurred to me. The thought occurred to me. I figured I would just take it up here and
Okay.
see if anyone else had opinions.
I think it's a great way to get more feedback, connect with more people. And I mean, if at a baseline, raise awareness of it, and get people thinking about it. And then if we can gather input or motivate them to actually to go to the community event, hear from the consultants and give them that feedback too to coordinate it. It's great.
Yeah, and given the break starts on the 17th,
Yeah,
probably the weekend of the 10th and 11th. Or I mean, it could be a weeknight also, but
yeah,
I think weekends might be a little bit easier for people.
right.
So maybe aim for something like that Saturday or Sunday.
I've always had trouble getting access to the schools for events like that on the weekends, but
I wonder if being like making it easier for yourself and for others could work, like just going to the town center and taking a table and setting up so that people who just are walking through, you'd be like, and then also advertise, I'm going to be there, come talk to me. Because I know for myself, if there's an event happening at the school on the weekend, oh man, that's stressful. Am I going to be able to get there? What else am I juggling? But if I knew that there was sort of a pass through and talk to a neighbor, that feels more manageable. And then you wouldn't have to worry about space and coordination. I don't know. I am going to the Brookside PTA to talk about it, but I'm not planning to do a big presentation. I'm just going to sort of outline the sort of like, here's where we're at. If you have, here are the questions that we're answering. And if you have feelings, here's the way to get involved. I think I have 10 minutes. Yeah.
Alice, I think that is kind of the go. And then with these new tools coming on, you guys will be able to direct them to go to the website or for that input. So
yeah, that might be more approachable.
LFP-PTA has on the morning of the 10th, there's a pancake breakfast and book swap. So I think I can claim a room during that and have people swing by and look at it then as well.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Well, I think that was a good topic. Thank you. Sorry we're a little late, but I think that was worth talking through.
Thanks all.
Do we need to hold time for public comments? I think we probably do, but are there any public comments?
There's none online, and Matt will have to answer if anyone Katie Hall.
Nope, nobody's here.
Okay.
Okay, well, with that, I will adjourn our special meeting. Thank you all. And then a little side note after, Matt, I think I'm in touch with you about a flag ceremony this weekend. So I'll get back to you very shortly with one of the scout troops. So thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So